How's it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH after show. There is a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. So Election Day arrived in Port Charles, and we didn't see a single debate between Ned and Alexis. That was a missed opportunity for sure. So apparently the voting was very neck and neck. It was a close race up until an article came out about Alexis and Julian and her involvement in getting Julian out of jail, which I'm not that surprised about, obviously. And as a result of Alexis's stupidity, Ned is the mayor of Port Charles. Obviously, I'm thinking Jim Harvey somehow had a role in that article leaking at the last second. I won't lie to you, I lost interest in the story the second Jeannie got the boot, so I don't even know what else to say about it. Truly the only thing that I want to know personally is what the storyline would have gone like if Laura was in the running still and wasn't off the show. To be honest, I think that Ned would have still been the mayor of Port Charles one way or the other, but I just want to know how they would have got there with Laura. Not that Laura doesn't have some of her own skeletons in the closet, but I just wonder what skeleton they would have used. I mean, Julian and Alexis and mob activity, that's just a given. Laura, they would have had to dig a little bit deeper to get there. So after the election was over, we see the next day and Alexis and Finn ended up in bed together. The scenes were hilarious, and in all honesty, Nancy Lee Grahn and Michael Easton are so good at comedy, and it's just so fun to watch them. I was never a big fan of Anna and Finn, and I definitely didn't like Julian and Alexis. Seeing these two, it's kind of cool. I don't care if they end up friends or not, but I just want to see these two interact all the time. Besides, there is definitely hope for Anna in the romance department now that Andre is out of jail. Apparently Anna pulled some strings to get Andre out of jail, and now the WSB is doing the memory mapping program all over again. So I guess the odds of Drew getting his memories back are getting a little bit better each day. But given current other storylines going on GH right now, it's making me wonder about Andre's original reasons for doing that memory mapping program in the first place. That being Andre's wife having early set Alzheimer's. We know someone else that has Alzheimer's now, officially. Mike was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and of course he didn't take it too well. We're gonna get more into that a little bit towards the end of this video when we talk about the 14,000th episode of GH. Yeah, that was the thing that happened. Did you notice? More on that later. In the meantime, let's move on to Kevin and Franco. Kevin has been having sessions with Franco to see if it was really the tumor that made him do all those bad things, or if it wasn't. Franco had a memory of locking Andrew in a toy chest, and he started to wonder, maybe it was not the tumor. My question is, post-tumor, you did pretty much the same thing to, albeit a really crappy man, Tom Baker, Elizabeth's former rapist. You locked him in a dog cage and you put a shock collar on him and you shocked him over and over. Yes, Tom Baker, crappy man. Deserved it probably, but is that the thought of a normal person? Like, if you were a normal person, would you want to put this guy in a dog cage and shock him, or would you just rather the police take him down for what he is, scum? Just saying. The writers have seemed to conveniently forget that storyline though, because we haven't heard it mentioned once yet. That really bothers me. If you're gonna bring up someone's backstory, you kind of have to talk about all the history. You can't just pick and choose which ones you want your viewers to forget, because we're smart, we know things. Us fans know a lot more about the show than the writers seem to give us credit for. We probably even remember a lot more of the storylines than the actors do. And if you forget, there are websites like YouTube where you can go back and watch the history, or even read about it on different websites as well. So there's no excuse to not bring certain things up, especially recent history. That was last year, wasn't it? It was last year or the year before. Franco's brain is not the only brain that Kevin has been working on. He has been studying Faison's brain in a jar, and it turns out that Faison has Huntington's disease. I'm gonna assume that Dr. Obrecht did not know that, because that's a pretty big factor in her grandchild's life. As if Maxie didn't already have enough on her plate already. Plus, this could affect Faison's remaining son, Peter. Speaking of Peter and Maxie, they have been sharing scenes together, and I think that, I don't want to say it, don't come true. I think that Peter is going to become as obsessed with Maxie as Faison was with Anna. She basically said thank you to him for helping her try to save Nathan's life, and also that he's letting her grieve the way that she wants to. I feel like Maxie, if you knew that Peter was the one that suggested Lulu track down Faison, you'd feel a little bit differently about him. But yeah, Maxie is the reason that Peter is deciding to stay in Port Charles and stay on Aurora Media, so oh god. Anyway, Maxie has decided to give away all of Nathan's things, and Sam was at her house just helping her pack them all up. but trying to convince Maxie to keep it because she knows she's going to regret it one day. So before Sam left the house, she actually snagged one of the boxes of Nathan's belongings and took it home with her. I love Maxie and Sam's friendship. I was there from the very beginning of it when they were working at the Metrocourt Hotel together. Their friendship had seemed pretty long forgotten up until recently, so I'm glad that it's back on our screens again. Maxie's just trying to pick up her life and move on, and so is Nina. The both of them returned to work. Before Maxie did, Nina discovered that the blood was still on the carpet and she tried to wash it off, and you know, it didn't come off. It's insane that that mess was still there all these days later, but it is what it is. Thankfully, Maxie did not notice the blood, and I'm assuming it's going to be out of there before she does realize it at this point anyway. Epiphany was their instructor, and Michael and Nelle were there too, so it led to some pretty nasty exchanges between Maxie and Nelle, which was hilarious, I thought. Nelle tried to insult Maxie, and Maxie just clapped back too fast for her. Nelle is still trying to mess with Carly's head, which is stupid, but she's doing it anyway. Those mysterious calls are coming to Carly still, and the last call that Carly got was an explosion sound. That shocked Carly enough that she decided to get the police involved. Dante helped Carly and Jason figure out where the phone calls were coming from, and it was a payphone that just happened to be nearby where Morgan died. I don't exactly know if Carly's realized that yet, but Dante definitely did. Speaking of Dante, obviously he's back at work, and he's got a new partner, and he is not happy about it. Harrison Chase is the guy's name, and he's kind of a stud. However, he is a Red Sox fan, and Dante is not so thrilled about that. He's a Yankees guy, come on. Clearly it's going to take some time for them to get used to each other. Okay, so now let's get back to Dante's grandfather, Mike Corbin, who was officially diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which I think everyone's seen coming. He did not take the news well and stormed off. He ended up at Ava Jerome's gallery, which apparently was the site of Luke's old club. He literally thought that he was still in Luke's club. He ended up arguing with Ava, and then he broke a $14,000 statue. Coincidentally, on General Hospital's 14,000th episode, and that is literally the only thing they did to celebrate the fact that they had 14,000 episodes. That's it. The price tag on the statue. That was it. Now, I would have been okay with them not really doing too much for the 14,000th episode if it wasn't for the fact that they were hyping it up all over social media for an entire week. They had over half the cast posting with pictures of GH 14,000 all week long. They had Billy and Kelly on talk shows talking about the 14,000th episode. So what I thought is that they were going to go and do something big. They did nothing. It was a mediocre episode at best. It was a Friday, but there wasn't even really a cliffhanger on the Friday. There was nothing spectacular about the episode whatsoever. The oldest cast member they actually had featured on the episode was Anna. No sign of like Monica or Bobby or Scotty, and obviously not Laura, just Anna. And of course he had your mob characters, Sonny, Carly, and Jason. He had Ava and Griffin, Franco and Liz talking about their wedding. The highlight of it was the fact that Andre got out of jail and Epiphany was featured. Like that was the most exciting part for me. Why? Why build it up so damn much for you not to do anything? Like if you go back on YouTube and watch the 10,000th episode, that was great stuff. They had like montages, and they had like Audrey celebrating her 10,000th day at the hospital. They had characters talking about the most pivotal storylines in their lives. And of course they celebrated the well-known romance of Luke and Laura. But this one had nothing except for a $14,000 price tag. That was it. If they don't do something way bigger 3 years from now when they reach their 15,000th, I will go mental. Sorry, rant over. Anyway, before I go, you guys know that I personally love to talk about General Hospital history, and I have a show called GH Top 10, which I released just last week. The first one was Laura's best moment in honor of Jeannie Francis, and I'm using this video to announce that the next GH Top 10 video is going to be all about the top 10 feuds on General Hospital. So please let me know in the comments below what feuds you want to see featured on that top 10 list, and I will consider it and I will put it on the next top 10 video. I haven't decided when I'm going to release it yet, sometime in March. But let me know in the comments below some of your ideas that you want to see. With that said, if you liked this video, please give it a big old thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to. I would really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next week.